Number 1 says, what is the formula for simple interest? So you go to your star chart. You should have written down I equals PRT. Check your answers. Then number 2 says, what does the simple interest formula solve for? What does it solve for? What does it say? I equals, that means interest equals, so you should have circled interest. Number 3, what is the formula for compound interest? So you go to your star chart. You write down A equals P open parentheses 1 plus R to the T power. Oh, I forgot to put my P. So P open parentheses 1 plus R to the T power. What does compound interest solve for? What does this A mean? Total amount. So that's what you should have circled. Number 5. Here's where you're going to have to really read whether or not you're going to use the simple or compound formula. It says you borrow $23,200 at 4% simple interest for 4 years. What clue word did you see that tells you what formula to use? Simple interest. So you should right there stop what you're doing and write down the formula for simple interest. I equals PRT. Then, before you do anything, read what it's asking for. How much interest will you pay back at the end of 4 years? So, question, what did it ask for? Interest. Does this formula solve for interest? Yes. So, will I have to do anything after the formula? No. So, I'm going to do P, $23,200 times R. What do I have to change this to? By putting it over, so 0.04 times the time. How many years? 4. So I go type that in my calculator. 23,200 times 0.04 times 4. That is the amount of interest that they will have at the end of 4 years. $3,712. And that's your answer. If you put 0.00, that's perfectly fine. All right, the next question. You deposit $12,000 into a savings account. The account earns 1.5% simple interest. What should I highlight? Simple. So before I do anything, what should I write down? The simple interest formula. I equals PRT. Now stop. What does this formula solve for? Interest. Now let's read the question. What will the total amount in the account be at the end of 15 years? So will this formula give me the total amount? No. So I'm going to go to my star chart and say, hey, after I use the formula for simple interest, what am I going to do to get the total amount? Guys, we wrote it down. Look, we're going to add. So we got to use this formula, and then we're going to add. All right, what's the P, the principal? $12,000 times the rate. What do I have to change this to?
0.
But it already has a decimal in it. Why do I have to put it over 100? You are correct. Because it has a percent sign. It doesn't matter if it already has a decimal in it. If it has a percent sign, you have to put it over 100. So what does this become? 0.015. And how many years are they going to invest this? 15. All right, so I put this in my calculator. The interest is $2,700. Is that going to be my answer? No, because the question said, what will the total amount be? So I take my answer and I add it to what I started with. How much money did I deposit? So I have to take $12,000 and add $2,700 to get my answer, which is $14,700. I'm not sure why there's talking. Do y'all understand why we added it back to our answer? Our answer gave us the interest that we would make. The question said, how much total will they have in their account? You have to add to get a total, yes? All right, next question, number 7. You borrow $8,000 at 7% interest compounded annually. What clue word did you just see? Compounded. So before I do anything, what should I write down? The compound formula. A equals P, 1 plus R to the T power. Now stop and read the question. What does this formula solve for? What does this formula solve for? Total amount. What is the question asking for? How much? Is this formula going to give me the answer? No. So I go to my star chart and I say, hey, the compound interest solves for total. If I want the interest, what am I going to have to do? Subtract. So I'm going to use this formula and then I'm going to subtract. All right, here we go. The P is 8,000. 1 plus. The R is 7%. I have to change it to a decimal by placing it over 100, which is 0.07. And that's a 1. And how many years? 3. All right, so I go to my calculator. 8,000. 1 plus 0.07 to the third power. He's going to have $9,800.34 in the account. But the question did not ask for the total amount. Are y'all with me? I'm going to have to take this and subtract the principal. So 9,800.34 minus 8,000, which is $1,800.34. Is that better? Guys, please make sure you're putting good notes because you get to use this on your quiz on Wednesday. Make sure you're writing everything I write. All right, go to the back. Number 8, you deposit $20,000 into an account. The account earns 5% interest compounded annually. What's the clue word? Compounded. So what am I going to write down? The formula for compound interest. A equals P, 1 plus R to the T power. Now, what does this formula solve for? Total amount. Now, read the question. What will is this formula going to solve for that? Yes, so all I'm going to do is use the formula. I do not have to go any further. All right, what's the P? 20,000. 1 plus, what's the R? 5%, but I have to change it to a, by placing it over 100, which is 0.05. And how many years? 7. And this will give me my answer, 20,000. 1 plus 0.05 to the 7th power. Now, how would I round this for money? Money stops at the second decimal, yes? So it's either going to be 0.00 or I'm going to round the second 0 up to a 1. I look to the right. If it's 5 or more, raise the score. So that second 0 is going to become a 1. So I have $28,142 and a penny. Okay, the last question is probably the trickiest because there's no formula. Remember, this is what we learned Friday. This is where you just have to use your brain. So let's look at it. The total cost of attending a university is $14,300 for the first year. So how much does it cost every single year? $14,300. A student's parents are going to pay, what does half mean? 50%. There's many ways you could do this. Do y'all agree? Isn't half mean divide by 2? Or you could multiply by a half, or you could change it to a percent and do 0.5. It doesn't matter how you do it. Do y'all understand? If you want to, half means divide by 2. Okay, so how much does she need? $14,300. But we're going to divide that by 2 because her parents are paying for half of it. So let's go put that in our calculator. 14,300 divided by 2 is $7,150. So her parents are going to pay $7,150 and she's going to pay $7,150. We don't need to subtract because they're paying the exact same amount. Do y'all see what I'm saying? An academic scholarship, y'all remember that vocabulary word from Friday. What's a scholarship? Free money. So does she have to pay that or they're paying it for her? So how would I figure out what she needs? Subtract that out. So I get minus $2,500. She needs $4,650 she's going to have to come up with on her own. Yes? Do y'all all understand what we did? What is the minimum amount of money the student needs to save every month for a year to have enough money? Okay, let's talk about it. You're right. I want everybody to think about it, though. How much money does she need?
$4,650.
She has 1 year to save, and she wants to save every month. So how many months are in a year?
12.
So what do?
Divide by 12.
I say she needs this much money. She needs to save every month for a year. There's 12 months in a year. So divide by 12. She needs to save $387 and
50 cents.
is that 50 cents or 5 cents? 50 cents. Don't question yourself. You had it right. Every month for a year to have enough money for college. Now I'm going to say this again. You have a quiz on Wednesday. If you think you're going to lose this, you need to put it in the box so that you can get it out.